are live again here at Jared's Tactical for Firing Off With. This time we have fortunate enough to have Coach Locke from Etowah High School in. Coach Locke's had a very successful season here. It's your first head coaching job, but Coach, those people who do not know you who may be watching this video, talk a little bit about your background and ultimately what led you here to Etowah.
Well, I was born and raised in Alexander City, played at Benjamin Russell High School. After I graduated from Benjamin Russell, I went straight into coaching. Spent 2 years actually as a volunteer assistant while I went to a community college there. From there, went to Troy, was at Troy for about 3 years as a student assistant. Then I was at UAB, 4 years of GA. I went to West Georgia for a couple of years, Cumberland for a couple of years, and then after 11 years of college football, got married and decided that my philosophies kind of match more with the high school level than the college level. And so this year would be my 6th year at the high school level. And so I was at Northridge High School for a year, a couple of years at Foley High School, Tuscaloosa County High School. And when John Holliday came over here as the head coach a year ago, I came with him as his offensive line coach and offensive coordinator. And when he left, I was fortunate enough to be promoted to get the job.
You know, you've been a lot of places and coached under a lot of great coaches. Etowah is a pretty special place to watch a high school football game and definitely to play there, and I grew up there personally. Talk about what intrigued you to take the head coaching job there at Etowah.
Well, obviously the history and tradition of Etowah is second to none, particularly since, you know, you go all the way back to the late 40s through the 50s and the 60s, through the Coach Glover years, and then here lately you go back to the late 80s when Coach Townsville came, and then of course the Coach Farmer years during the 90s. On with Coach Hill, Coach McCorkle, Coach Knowles, and Coach Holliday. Etowah's had a long, sustained run of great history and great tradition on the football field. A lot of great players. Obviously everybody knows about Carnell Williams and Freddie Kitchens and all the other great players that have come through here during those years. But certainly the history and tradition, the football atmosphere that is in Etowah is unbelievable. The people in Etowah love their football team. There's no other way to say it. They love their football team. They see what's happening on the game, and they'll offer suggestions as well, real quick on occasion.
No doubt.
Yeah.
I had an uncle that played there. He's actually played in the NFL, ML Brackett. I'm sure you probably heard of his name around there. They've had a lot of.
He's got one of the jerseys retired.
That's right,
Yeah.
ML Brackett. Yep. And then of course at the end of the stadium there, all the undefeated teams
Yep.
and things. Yeah, it's a very special place, but. This year, Coach, I don't think you could script. A Hollywood writer could not write a tougher scenario coming in to be a head coach. First, you start with a worldwide pandemic of COVID, which shut down spring sports last year. Then you take the job so you don't have a spring, all right? Then you're starting a new quarterback who literally hasn't taken a snap at quarterback, and I don't know how long.
Since middle school.
Since middle school.
Yeah.
All right. Then you have movement on the offensive line. Some guys graduated. And then it's technically your first head coaching job, although you've coached everywhere. Talk about the difficulties you overcame to get Etowah. We're already past the first round of the playoffs. By the time this video drops, fifth play in the second round of the playoffs through all of that.
Well, the first thing is I was fortunate to have some good players that I've inherited. The senior class is really talented. The junior class has got some good players in it, and our sophomore class is really talented as well. And we've got a few freshmen that are pretty good. So, we've got good players. Good players make a good coach. That's the first part. I'd be honest with you, I don't really know what it's like to be a head coach outside of a pandemic right now. So I really couldn't answer that question too well for you. Even the coaches who have been coaching for 30 plus years, I've Terry Curtis, Danny Horn, a couple of others I've had conversations with. They have no idea. It's new to them. They don't know how to handle the pandemic any more than the rest of us do. So we're all learning on the run right now. So if we can ever get back to some sense of normality where we don't have the pandemic part of it, everything might get a little easier.
No doubt.
But it's been the kids have helped it to a certain extent because they understand the necessity of staying apart from people, trying to stay away from situations where they might get contact traced, where they might get in a situation where they might have contacted the virus. And at the same time, we've had some COVID issues we've had to deal with, and we've had players that have missed 2 to 3 weeks because of COVID. So we've tried to follow the protocols as best we could, as strictly as we could, in accordance with our school system, with the Alabama Health Department guidelines, and from there, we've just tried to make the best out of the situation that we have dealt with us.
Having administration like you do that definitely helped out with that. Mm-hmm. Dr. Hall, we did a video with him, mm-hmm. and he's told me people all the way from South Alabama to talk to him about that video. But having administration like Jeff Colgrove, Dr. Hall, backing you not only through athletics but dealing with COVID, like mm-hmm. they're tip of the spear, on top of things. How huge has that been for you yourself in the program?
Well, it's great because there's a clear direction in that we're going. Our administration has laid out the guidelines. If I ever have any questions, they're quick to get me an answer. And sometimes it's yes, sometimes it's no. Sometimes, this is the way that they would guide me, and this is the direction that you probably need to go. So it's been great to have that type of leadership from our administration. All the way, it starts at the very top, like you said, with Mr. Jeff Colgrove, and then filters down Dr. Hall, Dr. Nate Ayers, our athletic director and assistant principal. They've done a great job leading the way, and really they've taken a lot off of me in terms of the COVID situation, to where we're following the school's protocol. There is no football protocol in the school protocol. We're following the school protocol, and everybody's just lining up with it. So we have the same protocol as our band does, as our basketball team does, our volleyball team, cheerleaders. Everybody has the same protocol.
That's good. That is huge.
Yes.
And you said this earlier. You said the good players makes the good coach. So let's talk about some of these guys. I mean, you got guys, some D1 guys, but what I love best about Etowah and always have is those kids that's the hard-nosed mm-hmm. kids like Tyler Dobbs, some of those guys that really are just a talent guys. Mm-hmm. Man, talk about that team and the group that makes up this group.
Well, that's really what makes up a lot of our football team. Your Aiden Goodens, your Tyler Dobbs, your Ben Nance's, Jalen Billingsley, your lineman type, your linebackers, Trevor Gladden.
Real gritty.
Caleb Freeman, Bridge Freeman, and I shouldn't start naming them. We've got some tough kids that have grown up here who have some talent. There is a good amount of talent on our team, but we've got a lot of kids that just love to play, and they love to hit people. That's always a good thing. I've been some places where you don't always have that. You have. It's hard to teach the physical part of the game. You either have it or you don't. And fortunately, we're in a place where there's people that enjoy the physical part of the game, so that makes it easier to coach that. They actually got mad at me last week during practice because I wouldn't let them go full speed during practice.
No doubt.
And so hopefully that paid off a little bit against Randolph.
Yeah, I think they're the type of group. They don't have to. You got to dial them back probably a little bit because they want to hit every day if they could. They'd do Oklahoma drills.
Oh yeah.
Now, Coach, let's dial it in a little bit to this season here. Like I said, you won a region championship again. Etowah's been on fire the last few years in the region, just totally dominated. And now I know that's not your goal. It's one of your goals, but your main goal is definitely to make a run at the state. Let's talk about this team specifically and heading over into this second round right here.
Well, thanks to us being able to win the region championship, we hosted Randolph last week. We were able to beat them, so now we have to go on the road to play Haleyville, who's a very physical football team. Offensively, they run kind of a merge of wing tee / the slot bone triple option look. So it's going to be a physical game. Defensively, they're big up front, and they tackle you when they get to you, so they're a big physical team. We're going to have to meet that challenge from a physical standpoint. So it'll be a 2-hour drive. It'll be our longest trip of the season to this point, so we'll have to handle that appropriately as well. At this point in time, everybody plays a good football team. There's no there are no cupcakes, so to speak. Everybody's a good football team. Everybody's going to bring challenges to you, and the team that's able to handle the challenges that are presented to them the best way are usually the teams that are going to come out on the top end.
One thing I really respected you for is going out and getting a team like Sweetwater when you had a cancellation due to COVID, the other team canceling. You went out and got a big physical team.
Mm-hmm.
I think, that tells me 2 or 3 things. One, that you're preparing yourself for the playoff run, and from a physical standpoint, teams like that will get you ready for what you're about to play. Talk about,
well,
getting the guys ready.
we were fortunate to get that game when we got it because, we needed to have a home game because that was going to be our senior night, but also we needed to have somebody wanted to have a team that brought some type of competition to us, and Sweetwater was fortunately Sweetwater was willing to come up here, and so it was good for us. I think for Sweetwater it was good as well. We gave them a physical game as well, and I know their coach has commented to me that that was good for them as well going into their playoff run. So I think it benefited both of us.
Absolutely.
Going into the playoff for us to see a physical football team that was pretty athletic. They had some good-looking
guys.
They had some good-looking. They always have.
Yeah,
They've always had some good-looking football players down there. So it was good for our kids to play that quality of a football team. And going into this game, it really, I didn't realize we would match up with Haleville at that time, but I think it hopefully could help us because it has allowed us to get some work against that type of a similar type offense.
And one other thing, Coach, this has been, like you said, a little over 2-hour road trip. How do you prepare the guys a little bit different mentality-wise heading into it? You're going to have to give them a bus and drive 2 hours.
Well, I think you just let them know up front this is what to expect. We've tried to be as organized as we can with how we're going to handle getting them up, making sure they have breakfast, bringing them in a little earlier so we can do our walkthroughs and have a early pregame meal, and then we'll get on the bus and drive over, and we're actually going to give them a snack when we get over there to make sure they have some nutrition in their body. And we're going to try to get there a little early so they have time to get some of the lead out of their legs and move around a little bit and not be as stove up from the bus trip. So hopefully it comes out on the right end. Hopefully they're the right decisions to be made. But I think the main thing is you just communicate to the kids in front. This is what to expect, and this is how we need to handle it.
Coach, before we shut this video down, talk about this first year so far to this point and what it's meant for you and your wife, and how special it's been for you to have your head job here at Etowah. Well,
first of all, the Etowah community has been nothing short of remarkable and welcoming to us, and my wife. With this COVID situation being what it is, she works at the University of Alabama. They have not come back to school full time, so she's driving over there once a week. So she spent a lot of time at home. So she's gotten to become really acquainted very well with the Etowah people, the Etowah community, our neighborhood. The community has been nothing but welcoming to us, and in terms of being able to have my first head coaching job here at Etowah, I've interviewed at a lot of places, and I don't believe I interviewed at a school that had as much history and tradition as Etowah has. And so for me to have my first head coaching job here, it's really special. It's really special, and it's something that certainly I hope to add to the tradition that's already established here. It's not like I need to come in and build a program. The program's built. I just need to keep it going in the right direction and hopefully improve on it in the best ways that we can, not just on the football field but off the football field, with making sure our kids are supported academically as best they can, try to guide them in the right directions when it comes to making the right decisions off the field as well as on the field. So hopefully I've been able to do a little bit of that, and we'll get into that a little bit more when our season's over with. Hopefully that's not for another couple weeks.
Keep rolling, Coach, because I know I love all those kids at Etowah, man. We've been covering them. I grew up with most of their parents, and it's a very special place. And I tell you, that place over there is nothing like it when Etowah's winning, man. That whole city's alive.
Well, it's been a fun ride so far, and hopefully we can keep it going this year.
It's a double-edged sword. It's high expectations, but if you ever get it rolling in the right direction, it's nothing like it.
Well, that's the type of place you want to be at.
That's it. Coach, I appreciate you. Thank you so much. And thanks, Jared, for having us in here at Jared's Tactical with Firing Off with Coach Ryan Locke.
Thank you very much.